I'm Serena Roberts. I think that's the first time I've actually remembered to introduce myself ever. So I'm Serena. I'm one of the organizers of the Twin Cities Tableau user group. Also, I have Trisha, Duncan, wave your hand. I have Vince Baumel. We have Luke Comiskey. And we do have a handful of other, I think there's a total of 8 of us that that help out with putting this on every single month. Obviously not everyone can make it every time, but we thank Jim and Tim and Nick and Katrina.
Yep.
And Luke Stanky.
And occasionally Luke, yeah.
Yeah, yep. So that's all of us. Let's see, go to my next slide. So it's August, and this is the Twin Cities Tableau user group, just in case you didn't know that. Next slide. Today's agenda is we'll do a get to know a member like we always do, and then we have Brad, who is going to give a presentation on the world of Tableau beyond dashboards. And so he's going to focus on the developer tools, the Tableau developer tools that a lot of people kind of shy away from and think like, oh, that's just too scary and like I don't want to wreck the internet or whatever. So that'll be interesting. And then we have Joey Ramos and Daria Voronova. Daria is coming back to us for the 2nd time already since we've gone virtual. And so her and Joey have paired up to give us a presentation on spatial analytics and how that can help you identify the right customer. And then if we have time, we will attempt to do sort of our best thing I learned group therapy, or we can just chit chat. You know, we can all take a minute and go fill up our glasses with something that's not water or coffee and chit chat for a while. I'm down with that also. Let's see what else. I think I've got some upcoming events to talk about. So visualizing data, that's a general assembly one, but that is free. The only one that actually has a cost associated with that is this one here that's got the $sign on it, the Data Champion Accelerator Program. But you know, each month we try to put together a list of the events that stand out in the community, whether it has anything to do with Tableau or not, because you know the world isn't just about Tableau. There are lots of other types of skills and groups that we should be looking at learning from. So we've got the DataFam Community Jam. That's going to be cool because they're going to be announcing the Iron Biz finalists, I think is what that's called. I think it's like the top 10 finalists or something. So join into that. That's virtual. Women Who Code Hack Night. That's really not even you know, super specific to data visualization. But again, we want to be as diverse as we can with opening up these other opportunities to you guys. The Data Champion Accelerator is a training program being put on by Beyond the Data right now. And then my girl Trisha is running the She Talks Data Book Club. And they're meeting on 9/16. Trisha, what is the book that you guys are reading again right now?
I was just thinking, nothing's coming to me.
Twilight.
I just put it on Meetup like a few days ago. Hold on, I'll check.
It'll come to you when I'm not putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I'll look it up in 2 seconds.
I just looked at it earlier today too, and I can't remember it either because I'm actually not reading it.
Knowing your value. That's what it is. Knowing your value.
Know your value. Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. But you can attend those events whether you read the book or not. They're still really fun and a good group to get involved with. And then we have set the date for our September TC Tug, which is going to be the 24th. We need one more presenter. So if you have something that you're thinking you might want to share, reach out to any of the organizers and we'll answer your questions, ease your fears about speaking, and get you on the agenda either. And if September doesn't work for you, like we could put you in October, November, December, anywhere. We're always looking for speakers that are outside of the group of organizers that we have here. Although very much appreciate their willingness to fill in gaps whenever we need them. And then I want to pause here and open it up to anybody else that has an event that they would like to share with the group that's not on this list, as well as, sorry, my children are screaming in the background. I don't know if you can hear that. As well as like job opportunities. I just recently have seen a lot of open roles in the analytics space come across my inbox to try to help share that out. And so it just kind of, it felt like the right thing to do to open this platform up for people to say, hey, I'm looking for, you know, a senior analyst, you know, email me or come find me or whatever. So I'm gonna stop talking for a minute and go ahead and unmute yourself if you would like to add anything on that note. Brad, I know you have one.
Totally. So I help lead the Twin Cities Alteryx user group, and we actually have a meeting that we just scheduled for August 27th. I think that's next Thursday, where we'll be talking about like our favorite tips and tricks, and then also introducing the world of custom tools. And so we're excited for that one. So if you're into Alteryx or curious about Alteryx, come find us on Meetup. It just got posted. Feel free to register, and we might see you next week.
Yeah, check that out. Alteryx is an awesome tool. Anybody else? Please do not feel shy or afraid. Even if it's like a self-promoting thing, go ahead. All right, y'all had your chance. Okay. So with that, we are going to switch it over to Brad. So, and Brad, make sure you introduce yourself and tell people who you are and who you work for and stuff. I always forget.
Yeah, I totally will. Do we not do Meet a Member anymore?
Oh, okay. That's the other thing I always forget to do. Thank you very much.
No problem. I'll wait.
Okay, thank you. So, get to know a member. What we'll do is look for volunteers. So if you want to take a stab at answering some of these questions, you don't have to follow these questions to the T. You can skip any ones that you don't feel comfortable answering or add in information that's not here. But if there's a long silence, I will literally pick one of you and put you on the spot. So who would like to go?
We have a volunteer, Sarah.
All right, Sarah, go for it.
Hi, my name is Sarah Parnell, and I went to college in Minneapolis, and then I moved out to San Diego for many, many years, and I'm back. And lucky for me, while I was out in San Diego, I got a great job working for UC San Diego, where they use both Cognos and Tableau. And so while I was there, I taught an evening class on Tableau, and in my role, I am a community practice leader. So what I do is I literally run tugs like this, but for UCSD members. And all we talk about is, in one tug, we talk about Tableau, in one tug, we talk about Cognos, in one tug, we talk about finance data, and one we talk about student data, and one we talk about employee data, and another one we talk about research data. And I'm part of a larger team that builds the data warehouses. So I get to touch on a lot of the different data. I actually only picked up Tableau maybe 3 years ago, but signing up to teach a class on Tableau really helped me learn it very quickly and very thoroughly. So it's been a lot of fun. And let's see, what am I good at in Tableau? I'm good at trying things that don't work. I'm also good at kind of translating how Tableau is working to people who are used to working in SQL or working in different tools. And what Tableau features or functions do you struggle with? Oh, I struggle with the font and the lines and all those formatting things that I never remember where they're located. So it takes me 20 guesses before I can format the chart the way I want it to. Yeah. Yeah, only 20. I have a limit, and then I have to walk away and phone a friend, and then I come back to it.
Sorry, my husband is literally trying to drill something.
Okay, how about, what do we have, Lindsay? Lindsay, how about you go next?
Hi, everyone. My name is Lindsay Hofer. I work for the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs as a homeless programs coordinator. So entirely the data I work with is surrounding veteran homelessness, housing outcomes, and people that are experiencing homelessness, coming onto homelessness, and anything and everything around their demographics and characteristics. I've been using it a little over a year, and I would say I'm pretty good at figuring out problems on the fly, because we get a lot of requests from partners that they want to know about this or that I haven't built yet. So I'm pretty good at those ad hoc requests. And then I'm still trying to figure out LOD expressions. They're a bit of a struggle, so we're working through that right now.
I think it was Luke who he put together a really cool presentation around just like LODs explained, and I think that presentation is out on the Twin Cities Tableau user group community page. I'll try to find a link to that during the presentation and chat it out for you, Lindsay, because that was a super awesome, just kind of really simple way of spelling out like the level of the order of operations, like when does it apply and when does it not apply and all that stuff. So I'll try to find that link out and share it. And then I had a question for Sarah before my husband started drilling in the wall while I'm trying to do this. Sarah, why did you move back to Minnesota after like being in San Diego? You're just like a glutton for punishment, or?
No, all my family's back here, and
Okay.
I finally realized that they're never going to move to San Diego. And now that I have a kid and she's starting to participate in school events, I realized if I moved to Minnesota, then she'd have a huge cheering crowd and we could go to family events. And I'm so lucky I got here before COVID struck, because if I was stuck in San Diego, there's no way I'd get on an airplane right now.
Yeah.
And since like when we were in San Diego, I saw my family maybe twice a year, and now I see them twice a month or more. So it makes a big difference.
That's probably pretty much the only explanation for that, right? It's like those supports are super valuable.
And winter's not so bad when you work from home and the bus picks your kid up right outside your front door.
Yeah, I'll still complain about it every year. All right. Well, thank you, ladies, for sharing with us. It's always good to get to know new people each month. So, all right. Now, Brad, you are up.
Sounds good. We could do this all day, or we just do members.
Yeah, we had one more volunteer. Let's do Raj.
Oh, okay.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rajesh. Last name is Kampala. I work for the Twin Cities Orthopedics in Golden Valley. It's also known as Revo Health Surgery Centers. I'm working on Tableau for last 1 year, and it's an amazing tool that with the data visualization. You can do a lot of things. I like what I've been doing, and I never had a chance to work on Tableau, but I worked on Cognos. Crystal Reports is the oldest version. And I have a lot of different skills working on Access VBA, Visual Basic, Excel, a lot of skills on there, SQL Server, writing SQL statements. But I'm struggling with Tableau is the page shelf, how to page break. That's the part which I need to learn a lot. So I hope somebody can help me, or is there any documentation? Can somebody send it out to me? That would be great. I'm struggling with the page shelf area.
Does anybody have any good suggestions for Raj on that, resources? Thank you, Raj. Nice to meet you, by the way.
Nice to meet you guys.
Okay, well, if anyone finds a link, please chat it out and call Raj out in your comment.
Yeah, did he say the pages shelf?
Yes.
Yeah, pages shelf.
Oh, okay. Like maybe showing how things change over time.
No, I'm trying to do a page break. It's not working for me in Tableau. So that's the
Oh.
thing which I'm concerned about, which I'm struggling a lot.
Like you're
Page
trying to
breaks.
export it to PDF and have it break the way that you want.
Exactly.
Okay.
Ooh, I just did a project on this. Short answer, I could not find an easy way to do it, but you do have the ability to basically like figure out what is the dimensions of a piece of paper,
Yeah.
landscape or portrait, and then
In
you can use blank containers to
Okay.
get your visualizations to like not obviously be at a page break. So then when it prints out, it actually looks pretty well formatted, but I would definitely put it in the hacky category.
Gotcha. I will try that.
However, printing a Tableau dashboard out into a PDF is already a hacky approach. Just an FYI, like if we're talking best practices, first rule, don't do that. Second rule, if you do that, yeah, I think Luke's approach is probably the best one on that.
I've looked into this too, and if you have your dashboard sized the right way, I believe there's a way you can do it through Tab Command if you're using Tableau Server. But I'd have to look into that more specifically because I only heard about that anecdotally, and it was like 4.5 years ago. So that might not be a solution anymore. But yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe we can table more of that discussion for our group therapy.
Yeah, I see in chat, like Pratik said, this is what I was thinking. If you translate the dashboard into a story and then export the story to PDF, like the stories are paged already.
Yeah,
that might be another way to go.
I'm going to try that. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. You're welcome. That's the kind of stuff we do here. Collectively solve problems. All right. Well, without any further ado, I will turn it over to Brad, and he's going to show us what we can do with these Tableau developer tools.
Sweet. All right. I love that we're solving problems right away. Getting to meet people despite being all virtual and solving problems. Super cool. So can you guys see my screen? Sweet.
Yes.
So the world of Tableau beyond dashboards. All right, so thanks for letting me share my experiences on the Tableau developer tools, how they can help you, your team, your company. Some of them are easier than you might think. And if you haven't heard much about these, then I think this will be a great way to learn about some of the ways that you can use them. But first, some of you may know my story, but here it is for those of you who I haven't met yet. I started using Tableau in 2018. I've presented at TC Tugs a few times, once in March of 2019 on how you can use Workout Wednesday to put your Tableau desktop skills on like rocket boosters. And I'll touch on this more in just a second. I did another one in June 2019 on the then newly released features and how you can use them to help avoid bears while hiking, because that was super fun. Shout out to Shay and his hiking experiences. And then once in October 2019 on how to prepare for and make the most of your Tableau conference experience. So I started at DataDrive in early 2019, and I'm lucky enough that I get to help people with data using Tableau, Alteryx, Python, and other fun tools every day. I'm also lucky that I get to do it with such a great team. Here's some pictures featuring most of our awesome team. So there's Michael, and some of our more recent data drivers aren't shown here, but it's awesome getting to work with these people every day. I'm also a leader of both the Twin Cities and North America Central Region Alteryx user groups. And as I mentioned before, we have upcoming meetings that I wanted to plug. There was the one for the 27th, where we're talking about our favorite tips, introducing custom tools. I put a link in the chat to the meetup page if you want to go register for that. And then the North America Central Region Alteryx user group is going to have a meeting probably the 3rd or 4th week of September, not to compete with the Twin Cities Tableau user group, But we'll be talking about the newly released assisted modeling, text mining, sentiment analysis tools, in addition to doing a panel with other leaders and Alteryx aces on how to advance your career in analytics. So the first one can be found on Meetup. The second one hasn't been posted there, but if you want to be notified of future meetings, just subscribe to the Alteryx user group Meetup group and you'll get notified when I post it. So more related to this talk, I've been exploring and involved in work projects on Tableau's developer tools. And I think this is an amazing set of tools that can open up so many possibilities. And my main goal here is to not go in depth on all of these tools, but instead just give you enough information to pique your curiosity, give you resources to help you know what to do next, where to explore. I'll try and fit in a demo or two of some of the maybe more accessible features at the end of the presentation. And one last thing I wanted to mention before I get started is that we're lucky enough to have Geraldine Zanoli, also known as Gigi, with us today. She is a Tableau developer advocate and works at Tableau. We got to know each other through the DataDrive challenges that the developer program posts, and she and her team support the developer community. She was nice enough to reach out to me and provide some nice resources that helped with this talk, and she'll be available for questions at the end. I saw her already in the chat, so she's probably raring to go. So if you have any questions while I go, definitely send them or unmute yourself and ask them at the end. I'll either answer them, or if I can't, Gigi will come in and she'll save the day. All right, so let's do this. This is gonna be fun. Okay, so when I mentioned how my first talk at a Tableau user group was on the benefits of participating in a community initiative called Workout Wednesday. And since a lot of people may not be working on developer tools, I also wanted to throw in this tip because I think it's one of the best ones out there is participating in Workout Wednesday can just make you exponentially better at Tableau. So here's what Workout Wednesday is in a really quick pitch. So the goal is to recreate a solution to a data-driven visualization. Challenges are released on Wednesdays, but you can compete the solution any day you want. You can download the solution at any time. Some people go straight to the solutions and just deconstruct them. Maybe that's faster. Others try to solve them from scratch without looking at the solution, which might be more of a challenge, but it's really up to you. And they've started posting solution walkthroughs that are shared on Saturdays. And I still feel like this is the single best way to improve your Tableau skills and would recommend it to anyone looking to do that. So I also mentioned it at a previous TC Tug, but me, some other people on the DataDrive team, Katrina Johnson, Jeff Plattner, we get together every week on Friday mornings from 10 to 11 a.m. virtually, of course. And if you want to join us, reach out to me and I can add you to the invitation. All skill levels are welcome. So when I gave that talk, my main point was that expanding your mind on what is possible within Tableau can lead to much more creative solutions. So if your knowledge of what Tableau Desktop is just limited to a few features or charts, then any solution that you come up with is going to be restrained to those same features. However, by participating in Workout Wednesday, your knowledge of what Tableau can do expands, and therefore, so does the creativity of your solutions. So I can personally speak to this. I've also seen it benefit a ton of other people as well. I also believe the same thing applies with Tableau developer tools. If what you think Tableau is really only desktop, online, prep, server, then you're missing out on a lot of really cool options that could help you, your team, your company do more with data. So there's this whole world of possibilities within the Tableau ecosystem that allows you to expand beyond dashboards. All right. So Tableau's developer platform can be grouped into 5 different categories. So we'll start high level for now, and then we'll look into the specific APIs and technologies that make up each group a little bit later. So first you've got embedded analytics. This allows you to embed Tableau content and other applications. The automation category does exactly what you think it would. It allows you to automate tedious tasks, create custom workflows, and manage Tableau content. Data science integration allows you to integrate Tableau with advanced models in R, Python, and MATLAB. The Python and R portions apply to both desktop and prep. Data connectivity allows you to get any data into Tableau via custom connectors or extracts. And finally, extensibility. This allows you to give your dashboards new capabilities and integrate them with other applications. Super cool stuff. But now let's take a look at some of the individual pieces that make up these groups. So here they are. Because of our limited time, I'm just going to touch on some of the more common ones and highlight their resources. After that, I want to jump into a quick demo of the Webhooks API and the Metadata API to show how you can get some quick value from these great tools, even if you're not a serious coder, we'll say. All right, so these are the ones that we're going to cover. So, JavaScript API. So in addition to just embedding Tableau visuals within a web page or application, which is possible. If you didn't know that's possible, it is super easy, relatively. And the JavaScript API allows you to customize the user experience of a dashboard interaction and functionality as well. So in the real world, we've seen this as like maybe you have proprietary data that you want to sell access to, or like you can set up a portal that allows people to navigate to your work, your Tableau visualizations, but within your application or your web pages or whatever. Maybe you want to embed your Tableau visuals into a separate technology like Salesforce, or if you have an application where people are already doing their work, you can embed Tableau to provide insights right next to where they're working, making it super convenient. So sometimes this is used along with the REST API, which we'll talk about next, to automate the creation or permission assignments of new users. And so here's a sample embedded solution that is actually from the 2018 Tableau conference session called How to Build a Tableau Portal in 60 Minutes or Less. I highly recommend that one because they go over how to embed and then also how to create different things in your web page that can interact with your Tableau visualization. Yeah, so in order to make use of this, you need some light JavaScript skills. I say light because there's tons of samples out there and examples to draw from. The Tableau DataDrive team has done a great job of putting great documentation out there across all their different APIs and technologies across the board, but this one in particular I think is great. And one of the best resources for embedding Tableau is the Tableau Embedded Analytics Playbook. It describes all the steps that you need in order to embed and covers best practices around authentication, whether that's through trusted tickets or through single sign-on or SAML. Shows the ideal way to use the REST API to create users. You can also set like a dynamic table of contents page, and then you can also use the document API in order to like programmatically roll out your embedded solution. Like maybe you want to take data from a template site and create a new site when a new organization comes on. As users are added, we want to add users to that new site, and we want content from a template site to get migrated over automatically to that new site. And we want to switch out like where the data source is referencing within a Tableau workbook. All of that's possible within the document API. And so some of these are definitely used together. And then I've got this little thing jumping up. See if I can sneak in behind it. Nope. Wonder if I can zoom out. Just a sec. There we go. Okay, so there's also a JavaScript API tutorial that goes over some of the different pieces about interacting with embedded visualizations. First, like how to embed your visualizations, how to set up filters, how to listen to different events. And all of this shows like code within your browser. And then when you say run this code, it'll actually run it above. And so if we go over to the filter tab, this is how you would set up a filter where you're like, okay, I want to filter on region and I want to filter on the Americas. And then we can see like this section up here should change when I hit run this code. Now we filtered to the Americas and our dashboard has changed. We're not interacting with the visualization, we're interacting with components within the web page in order to interact with our visualization. So super cool stuff. All right. So next, REST API. Ton of really cool use cases, but basically it's around automating anything you would want to do with server. You can basically do with the REST API. Gigi would probably tell me whether there's any catches with saying something like that. But from what I do know, you can create users, update permissions, create projects, publish workbooks, move workbooks, and tons more stuff. And so the only thing you really need is a way of interacting with the API and of course skills within that tool. And one of the ways you can do it is in Postman. I'll show you how to use that a little bit later when we talk about webhooks. You can use curl or Python with the Tableau server client library. So I won't go deep into this, but it's a client library written in Python, basically acts like a wrapper on top of the REST API, making it easier to interact with. But yeah, super cool stuff there. All right, web data connectors. This one I'm hearing a lot more of recently on people wanting to connect to data sources that aren't necessarily within the default list of connectors that are within Tableau Desktop. You can set up a web data connector to grab any data that's on the web and make it available within Tableau. And so what you need with this is Tableau Desktop, a place to host your web data connector, a way to like edit code. Chrome version 79, apparently version 80 had something that interferes with web data connectors. I'll reference out to a video that might explain a little bit more about like what you need and how to do it in just a second. Some JavaScript skills and web-based data and API to bring in. And so resources, there's some really good ones out here. So here's the official web data connector documentation from Tableau. And so they've got a nice getting started page. They've got information about like how to download the requirements that you need. If you're new to web development, I think they've got a section in here that helps you out. I'll jump past it for now. Go back to API reference. Some of the more specific things that you might need as you're building out your web data connector. And I think I had one more thing I wanted to show on this. The community page. So this is a community portal of people that have already made web data connectors. You can access any of these and just plug them in. Basically, it's a URL that you can add in when you select web data connector as a data source in Tableau Desktop. It comes up with a browser window. You input a URL. Maybe there's an interaction phase with it where you can say like, oh, what kind of data do I want to grab from this? How do I want it to come through? And then it will pull in data into Tableau Desktop for you to use. When you publish this to server online, you can set it up as an extract refresh schedule, I think just as you would any other extract refresh. And so there's tons of really good ones that are already out there from the community, including an Instagram connector from Gigi. Shout out to Gigi and the rest of the team. Keisha's on here for putting great stuff out there, as well as the entire community. So cool ones to help get you started. A lot of them reference things on GitHub pages that you can dive into a little bit more. All right, webhooks. All right, so we've got 2 left, and I'm going to try and fit in demos at the end of each of these. But webhooks let you build custom applications or workflows that react to events that happen in Tableau. And we'll go into like what those events are, but basically you can build out any sort of workflow you want based on like a workbook being created or a data source extract refresh failing. If you've got a process around it and you need to update it in Slack and maybe put a task out there, you can do that. And I'll show you the rough gist of that in just a second. So what you need in order to make this happen, you can use Postman, you can use curl. There's some special stuff that I'll talk about in just a second when we go through the demo that will help you when you use Postman. Again, there's tons of great YouTube videos out there that'll go in more depth than I'm about to. I really just want to pique your curiosity here. But you also need to authenticate as a site administrator for Tableau Online or Tableau Server, where you want the webhooks feature to be enabled. And really quick, before we dive into more, I just want to highlight Tableau's official documentation on webhooks. And so you can see the stuff that's required before you get going, how you need to download a couple of things to interact with Postman in just a little bit. And we'll get to these pieces in just a second. All right, so before I jump into demos, you're probably like, what is this GIF? Okay, so Trent on our team has a tradition of posting this GIF when something he has made is being demoed to someone else, and I just wanted to carry on that tradition. This is Chip Gaines, who's most commonly known through his work on Fixer Upper, a show that used to be on HGTV, and I guess they show reruns now. But one of his favorite parts was Demo Day, and that's where they demolish old parts of the house before removing or renovating it. And so we use it here for demo day too. All right, but let's jump past this. So first, like, what is a webhook? So there's two different ways that you can check for updates on a site. You can either use like polling or webhooks, and maybe there's some other ones, but this really illustrates the point the best. So you could have something that says like, oh, every hour I'm gonna check for updates. And so your app could go, got anything? And then your source system could say, nope, 1 minute later. And then the next hour, anything now? Nope. Next hour, anything? Nope. And then at 10:30, something could come in. You won't ask again until 11 o'clock because you've set it up to go only every hour. And then your source can say like, oh yeah, I got this like 30 minutes ago. And then be like, oh, cool, thanks. And then the next hour, got anything? And it just keeps going on that process. What webhooks do is you no longer have to like ask if anything has changed. Things can just happen, and then they can send notifications to people who are things that are listening for updates, and then can kick off other processes. And so let's explore that just a little bit. So you've got your server and online. This is kind of what you need to set up. You use Postman in order to tell Tableau Server, Tableau Online, like what event are we listening for, or what event do we want to like trigger the release of information on. That could be a couple of different things. Here's their list. As of their current release, these are the things that you can trigger updates on. So when a data source gets refresh started, when it succeeds, when it fails, if a data source is updated, created, deleted, same thing for workbooks, and workbook refreshes started, succeeded, and failed. So let's jump back one more slide. So you tell it what event starts the trigger, and then where do you want the info to go. And so Tableau Server, then when a workbook gets created and you've set up a webhook on this, it sends a packet of information to a specific URL. And that's where this third-party service comes in. So after you're done setting it up, there's this third-party service that you've told your server what URL you're looking for, and then it can do any number of things. And some of the examples of third-party services that you can use are Zapier, If This Then That, Microsoft Power Automate, Automate.io. I noticed with Zapier, webhooks are a premium feature, or at least they are now. So I've been using Automate.io for my testing. And just to show you like all the cool stuff that you can do, like when you go and you set something up, you set up a webhook, and this is like the URL where stuff comes in. And then what you choose to do after that can be anything. Like you can post stuff to Slack, you can post stuff to Twitter if you wanted to, you can interact with any of these pieces, but then also like under all apps. And I'm just on Zapier for right now. And I'm just gonna click through this just to show you that if you use it in your business, there's a good chance it might be listed out here, where you can start to integrate events that are happening on Tableau Server into other processes that you have. For example, if you wanted to like make a JIRA ticket for when a extract refresh fails so that someone can look into it. That's totally possible. You just need that third-party service in order to handle it and then kick off the rest of the workflow on what you want to do. So I will change my screen sharing over to Postman for just a second, just to show you. So screen share, Postman, boom. Okay, so when you download Postman, this is what you get. The collections that I mentioned earlier is something that can just help you make these queries and these requests. And so it's like pre-done queries that you just need to fill in the variables for, I'd say. And so like you get this thing and it's like, oh, this is how you sign in. You use this one to list out the webhooks that you have. You use this one to create webhooks. And so I've already gone through the sign-in process with a personal access token that I got from Tableau server. There's this thing that lists out the different webhooks. You hit send, it gives you the list of the webhooks that you currently have. I have one, and it currently works on, like, when a workbook is created, it sends that packet of information to this URL, and like here is that string that Tableau server interprets as like, oh, when a workbook is created, but then you get this nice wording down here. So if I want to create a new one, and there's just a couple pieces of information that you need. So that wording that says, what's this webhook going to be about? This is one about when a workbook is deleted. I want to send information to this URL. This is just a copy of the old one. It would probably cause issues, but just doing it so it can populate correctly. And then you need to name it. So I'm calling this one workbook created at TC Tug. And then if I send that, I get information about like, okay, it was successful. And if I go back to list webhooks, I have my one. And then if I hit send, now I've got my other one. And this is the one that was created at TC Tug. So it's that simple. There's, of course, documentation that takes you through that process, but I just wanted to show you what that looks like. So now every time that I have a workbook created on my, my test site, which I'll talk about a little bit later, it kicks off that process in automate.io. Okay, so now I'll jump back, and these are the results. So for me, I just had it trigger something in Slack, and you can see like you can customize the text that comes in. I also put for this top one, I just like listed out what all those variables are before I like made a nice looking response. So up here, this is one where a new workbook was created. And then I did another one where a workbook was deleted. And so you can customize the icons, the names, the text that comes through. You can also add an image, which I chose to make a GIF because who couldn't use more GIFs? All right, so last one I want to talk about is the Metadata API. Let's scroll down here just a little bit. Right. Okay, so use cases, you can quickly discover query assets and metadata indexed by the Tableau catalog. And what this means is like you can discover data that's associated with the content you published to your Tableau online site or your Tableau server, search for assets like tables or databases or data sources. You can track lineage or the relationships between assets like data sources and workbooks. And for example, like identify which workbooks use a specific published data source. You can also do impact analysis, like using the upstream and downstream lineage information, you can evaluate impact of changes to content. For example, like find all worksheets that depend on a database table column, or identify the authors you should notify when a data source change occurs. So who can use this? It's anyone with Tableau server or online 2019.3 and later. You can use this without the data management add-on. The data management add-on includes features and functionality that helps people manage Tableau content and data assets on like server and online, and they include two things. Tableau catalog, which is like the data dictionaries, lineage, impact analysis, data quality warnings in a nice interface. And then also Tableau Prep Conductor, which lets you publish, manage, and automate prep flows. But you don't have to have the data management add-on in order to use this, which I think is pretty neat. You can do those same impact analysis just without it. The only limitation is that you can't like write or push data to the catalog. Like that's a thing that's possible with the metadata API is like if there's a data quality warning, like you can push that warning to data catalog. But as far as just like understanding the relationships of how things are related to other things on your Tableau server or Tableau online site, you can do that all with the metadata API, which is super cool. All right, so resources. There's this introduction to the Tableau metadata API. So Tyler Doyle, who is like the product manager at Tableau, he was a project manager on Tableau Catalog to help bring Tableau metadata API to life. He actually has a really good video called Tableau Metadata API Deep Dive.
Or it's pointing directly to a table. There's nothing interesting about it. It's not a calc. It's not a bin. It's not a set.
I would love
so if
to.
it's a column field, we can look at the column.
Well, I guess we'll close that. Anyways, go to YouTube, Google Tableau Metadata API Deep Dive, and you'll see a talk that he gave at Tableau conference where he just goes in crazy depth on the different number of things that you can do. And basically, if you can think about it with the relationships of things on your server or your online instance, you can make a query about it. And so they can be as basic as like, show me a list of users and their email addresses, or like show me a list of users and the workbooks they own, or show me a list of the formulas that have reference to user functions, or they can get more advanced. And before I do that, I'll give you a quick overview of what that looks like. So this is my Tableau online developer site. I'll talk more about the developer program in just a second. But it allows me to do whatever I want, just to like experiment with some of these different features I've talked about. And if you go to external assets, this is where your data management add-on material lives. There's this link up here, says query metadata, that takes you to this page. You can also get there by just adding this onto the end of your URL, your server URL. If you have online, it's really just this online piece and then metadata and this final piece. You just need Tableau version 2019.3 or later. And that was interesting because we had like someone on 2019.2.4 who had a great use case for this, and we're like, ah, bummer. If anyone out there knows like ways of getting around that, let me know, but it was all dependent on them doing an upgrade. So this is a programming language called GraphQL. It may seem complex, but it's really kind of straightforward. And I think like once you get the hang of it, it becomes easier to understand. And I think just diving in is the best place to start. And it's really on like, oh, what do I want to name this query is all it is. And then you've got series of brackets, and it says like, of like Tableau users, I want to see their name, or I want to see their username, and I want to see their email. And then you can navigate down from that. And the documentation within this interface is fantastic. Like you can click on Tableau users, and I just did Control-click on this in order to get documentation on the right-hand side. All the documentation you would need in order to know like how to use these things is right here. And so when you're looking at, oh, Tableau users, and I want to know their name. Okay, name is under here, it displays the name of the user. Great. I also want the email. Okay, it's right here. I just need to put these things out there. And then when I go and I hit run, since I've got two different queries here, it knows I can choose this one or I can choose this one. So I'll select this one, and then you get this information back. Of course, if you have a much more complex query, you're going to get lots more. I just have one user on my site, so you only see one. Slightly more complex one, if we were to run it, is just a little bit longer. And what we're doing here is we're looking at, of our embedded data source, I want to see the name of the data source, and then of the fields within that, I want to see the name of those fields. I want to see what type of a field it is, and when there's calculated fields, I want to see a formula for it. So we've got this data source, an embedded data source. It's related to a workbook. This one's called Sheet 1. Apparently I was doing test stuff in June, and these are all the names of the fields and like what type of field they are. So column is coming straight from the data, and then calculated field. And over here I said when it's a calculated field, I also want to see a formula. Now you can see the formula that's associated with that. And so you can probably envision lots of great ways to do auditing of your data sources, impact analysis, and all of this information can be copied out of this. If I were to go Control A to select everything, Control C to copy it, and then I go to Tableau Desktop and I just paste it in there, it knows how to interpret the structure of this and can turn it into a table for you, which is super handy. And so I wanted to just go through a couple of different examples, like if you want to show all the flows, their descriptions, and their downstream workbooks that those flows are impacting, you can use this. List of formulas that have reference to user functions. All embedded, this is the one we just looked at, all embedded data sources, name, data type of their fields, and formulas if it's a calculated field. And then you can get even more complex. And so like list the 10 database tables with most columns in descending order and include column count. Cool, even more complicated. Show the top database tables by which ones have the most connected workbooks. Then show the total count of columns, but also show the first 3 columns sorted alphabetically. So I did not come up with these all on my own. My GraphQL knowledge is not as advanced as Tyler Doyle's. These are just things that he demoed in his presentation. Sweet. All right, so last, I want to talk about Tableau Developer Program. So if you're interested in testing out some of these things for yourself, sign up for the Tableau Developer Program. It's free and it's awesome. And let me just navigate out to their page. You can do that here. You just say it's sign up for the Tableau Developer Program, and you will get a personal development sandbox with the latest version of Tableau Online. You'll get the news updates as they come out. There are exclusive developer sprint demos and betas, and then there's also a DataDev Slack workspace, which I've been utilizing a ton, that have different channels on some of the different APIs where there's really in-depth questions and items being discussed. And then you can also use it to network with fantastic people like Gigi. This is how we communicated as we were working through our presentation, or I was working through my presentation, I guess. Gigi was very helpful in providing lots of great resources. So hopefully this was a good overview of the Tableau developer tools, why they're awesome, and how you can take some immediate steps to implement some of these or test them out. So if you have any questions about this or about anything else, feel free to contact me on LinkedIn, on Twitter, or check out our team's website at godatadrive.com. So with that, does anyone have any questions either for me or for Gigi, perhaps on a particular situation that you have where you were wondering if Tableau developer tools can help?
Yeah, Brad, there was a couple questions in the chat. Are you going to share your slides?
Sure.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have a place to share them afterwards?
Yeah.
You want to put it on Meetup?
I think we're supposed to put it out on the our community page on community.tableau.com, although admittedly it's a little bit difficult to find. So we'll probably just send a follow-up email that has we'll send it through Splash that has a link to the recording and the presentations, and hopefully that makes it.
I'll make sure to do that.
Let's see. A place where the WDCs are listed. Gigi answered that one. Thank you, Gigi. So if you were looking for a list of the web data connectors, Gigi posted a list in the chat, and feel free to grab that there. And I think that's all the questions from the chat. Does anybody have any they'd like to ask live? Oh, what is Splash? How do I get access? Great question, and I apologize for assuming everyone knows what that is. It is the official event and marketing platform that we use for the Tableau user groups. It's actually provided to us by Tableau. So it's like an event marketing platform. And whenever we post our registrations for our upcoming tugs, that's the link will take you to the Splash platform. So, but also you probably should. So we have a LinkedIn group, which is a good way to stay connected with us. If you just in LinkedIn search Twin Cities Tableau user group and join that group, you'll see all of the links and stuff get posted there. We do also have a meetup page, although we were talking about this earlier, that meetup is not a great place for communicating out to our members. But if you do want to stay connected to when we have our meetups or our tugs, that's a meetup can be a good place to stay in tune with that too. So hope that answers your question. All right, well, that was a lot of information, and it was just really, really awesome stuff, Brad. I'm still processing, as I'm sure many of us are. So yeah, like Brad said, if you do have questions after the fact, find him on LinkedIn and reach out. He's a pretty accessible guy and always willing to help. So
yeah,
thank you, Brad.
totally. I know, like, the first time I heard about these things, you know, it was like bits and pieces at a time. I wanted to at least give like a high level overview of lots of stuff, because maybe people don't understand like that it's out there at all. And so definitely just creating awareness and trying to give you the best resources to take it out. I was definitely feeling the same way. But as you start getting into the great documentation that Gigi and her team have put together, it makes it easier. So hopefully just getting exposure to it was a good first step for people.
Yeah, thank you, Brad. Pratik had a quick question about how they joined the Tableau Slack channel. Brad was showing the specific Slack channel for members of the Tableau developer program. And so I would assume that to get access to that particular Slack channel, you would want to sign up for the developer program on the URL that Brad shared.
Yep, that's how I did it. Gigi, if there's
Yeah.
other ways to do it, let me know. But I think you probably want to be a member of the developer program and then also get access to that. So.
Yeah, I don't think that there's like a general Tableau Slack channel that's just open to the public. Like they're kind of specific invite only. So Gigi just posted a link.
Tableau questions, like just go to the forum and post there. There's tons of great people.
Yeah, and Gigi just posted a link to the developer page in the chat too. So thank you, Gigi, for the assist.
Yep, thanks Gigi for being here.
And thanks, Brad. That was awesome.
Great.
Okay. Next up, we have Daria and Joey. Are we missing Joey? Where is he? There he is.
Hey, how you doing? Sorry.
Good. Are you guys all set?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool. Well, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, Daria, do you want to share your screen? You're on mute, Daria.
You're muted, hon. There you go.
Just a second. Awesome. Okay, so can you see, guys, my screen?
I can see it.
Awesome.
All right, guys. So what we're going to review here is spatial analytics in Tableau. And the reason how this came about was I've been using Tableau for over 6 years, and I've never done certification. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to get my associate certification. And while I was prepping for it, going through the exam guide, I noticed, you know, there were some calculations that I wasn't too familiar with. And so just a little bit more about my background is I've been working with American Airlines for the last 4 years. So I don't really get a whole lot, opportunity to work with the spatial calculations in Tableau. So I was like, you know what? The best way for me to learn is to just create a presentation to where I'm forced to learn it when I present it to people. So that's a little bit about how this analysis or how this presentation came to be. Go ahead, Daria.
Awesome. So just a little bit more about my background. So I started working as a Tableau developer 4 years ago back in Toronto. And so I've been working with different clients like McDonald's, Volkswagen, across different industries. And so recently I decided to shift my attention towards becoming a Tableau trainer. And so right now I'm trying to focus more on conducting online courses on Tableau, because personally my values and my passion is to share my experience and knowledge in Tableau over the years I've gained being a Tableau consultant. So also other things that I'm absolutely passionate about is yoga, hikes, nature. And so recently I moved from Toronto to Vancouver. And so yeah, and also just to mention, so we decided to start Data Plus Women, a new chapter of Data Plus Women here in Vancouver.
Very good. My name is Joey Ramos. I'm based out of Dallas, Texas. I've been working as a consultant now for over 4 years. A little bit about my data. I love IPAs. I love bourbon. Eagle Rare is my favorite. And I'm also a member of the, actually co-lead of the North Texas Tableau user group, along with Tim Cady and Stephen Shoemaker.
Well, so what is actually spatial analytics? So spatial analysis is a type of geographical analysis which seeks to explain patterns of human behavior and its spatial expression in terms of mathematics and geography. That is essentially locational analysis. You might wonder what questions to answer you might answer with spatial analytics. So just like really simple but very important questions like where is it? How far is it? How it is distributed? What is nearby? And how does it compare to a specific location? And so the importance of spatial analytics is that by converting spatial analytics into interactive maps and visualizations, that is something that provides insight into current and potential customers in each local market. And by presenting data spatially, that is something that helps stakeholders to understand not only what happened, but also where and in what context. Now, you might wonder what you can achieve by analyzing spatial data. Well, essentially, you can leverage spatial analysis however you want, but one of the really useful showcases is where, for example, when you're looking where to open a new store. So let's say, for example, you were trying to open a new location, a new store, and you are looking to find just like favorable location within the city. And essentially analyzing spatial data, especially, for example, if you have some demographical attributes about your potential customers, you can understand what area in the city is more favorable to open up a new store. The other showcase is essentially you can also enhance marketing strategies. So for example, once again, by analyzing your customers geographically, you can understand how, like, for example, in which provinces or regions you can enhance direct or indirect mailing, and so based on that you can just improve your marketing strategies. The other thing is that you can analyze the performance of airline flight path. That is a really useful thing. And also you can also leverage analyzing such things as, for example, traffic congestions. And so essentially you can analyze anything and calculate when you need to calculate the distance between 2 points on a map. So you can apply that to any type of analysis that might be useful in your case. Okay, Joey, can you please tell us a little bit more how to get started with spatial analytics in Tableau?
Yeah, so as I started learning about these calculations and did some research, basically to get spatial, I call it to get spatial in Tableau, basically you need an X coordinate and a Y coordinate. In this case, you need the longitude and the latitude of a particular location. So in some cases, they say you need the geocoding of an address. So just to get started, all you need are the geocodes of a particular location, which will be the longitude and the latitude.
Awesome. I think that actually the easiest way to learn something new is always to to go over some practical showcase. So, and right now we're gonna go over a simple showcase. So let's say, for example, what your client wants to open a new store based on the most favorable location. And the challenge is that the client doesn't have a comprehensive picture of their business that could allow them to make the right decision to open up a new store. And the company wants to see a map that uncovers the demographic attributes of their customers so they know what is the most favorable place to open a new store. So there are essentially two components in the potential solutions that you might offer to your client. So essentially, a strategical solution might be to provide a comprehensive picture of their customer attributes so they know what is the right audience to target to and what is the right location to open up a new store. So the technical solution is that by conducting spatial analysis in Tableau and knowing how to combine non-spatial data sources into spatial data sources, that is something that allows you to spatially aggregate spatial attributes. I know it's a little bit confusing, but we're going to get there. Okay, so first, let's plot our potential stores. So essentially, what we're looking for to achieve is to create a map where you can put our stores on a map. Joey, do you want to help me to understand how to leverage this analysis in Tableau?
Yes, so for the case, we were trying to think about, I was talking with Daria and talking with Tim Katie and trying to figure out what type of store we were trying to open here. And so in this example, Daria and I started talking. We're big fans of wine. We're big fans of cheese. So in this example, what we want to do is see which location should we target as for opening up our wine and cheese store. So if you want to switch over to the demo workbook, I'll show you real quickly how easy it is to plot these locations. So we have two data sets in this workbook. First of all, I have my stores and I have my customer base, right? So my customer base, let's say I go to a third party and I say, hey, do you have any information on individuals in Denver who purchase wine and cheese? And then they provide me with the data set with customers, latitude and longitude, as well as some demographic data. So we have potential stores and then our customer data set. So if you go back to the stores data set, remember I said to get spatial in Tableau, the first thing you need, the most important thing you need is the geocoding of the location. So in this case, we had the latitude and longitude of each potential store location. And then if you want to drag store ID to detail, so in probably just a couple of clicks, you're able to now plot your stores. And then if you go up to map layers, you know, generally what I'll do is do streets in this case because I want to see the reference points of the stores. And then, you know, we can format, do a little bit more formatting later. If you want to switch it actually to, instead of a map, if you want to switch it to a shape.
Sure.
The marks card.
The marks card, yes.
Perfect. Yeah, you were just clicking. There you go. And then in this case, you can go in, and I just loaded a wine and cheese from Icons 8 and just made it a fancy color. But you can pick any shape you want. Right, and in the matter of probably a minute, we pretty quickly just plotted our potential stores.
Awesome. So that was the first step. So the second step is to plot our potential customer base. And the result we're trying to achieve is this type of map. Just takes a little bit of time to upload the data. Awesome.
Yeah, if you want to go back to the demo workbook, it's going to be the exact same exercise, right? We're going to go to our customer data set, double click on, yeah, if you just want to search Latin long. Oh, there it is, customer lat, customer long. And then drag customer ID to detail.
Great.
It's like that, you just plotted your potential customers.
Yeah, and we can do also a little bit of formatting and awesome.
Yeah, so in the matter of 2 minutes, now we have our potential store locations, we have our potential customer base based off of the marketing data that was provided by a third party. Now, what we want to do, if you go back to the presentation, awesome. Now what I want to do is, let's take it a step further, and I want to actually understand, if I click on store 100, I want to know, I want to highlight my customers, right? I want to highlight my customers within a certain distance of that store. And in order to do that, we're going to leverage some of the spatial calculations.
I actually don't know how to do that.
No, it's go ahead and go for it. Go for it on the presentation. So just a quick note, this is our first time to present this live, so appreciate your patience. So before we get started actually creating the calculations, let's review the spatial calculations in Tableau. There's 4 calculations. In this exercise, we're going to use make point, distance, and buffer. Okay, so what make point's going to do is, as you can read there, as Daria put the definitions here, we're going to utilize latitude and longitude to create a spatial object, right? And then what distance is going to do is, if I know my spatial object of my store, and then each customer, what it's going to do is calculate the distance either in feet or meters, kilometers, miles. It's going to calculate that distance from point B, those 2 spatial objects. And then what buffer is going to do is it's going to do a really cool thing. It's going to create a boundary around a point location. So we're going to utilize 3 of the 4 spatial calculations in this first exercise. So if you want to go back to the demo. Cool, so the first thing we have to do is create the make point for the customer. So if we want to create a new calculation, Perfect. And then we want to get the customer latitude. And then just a comma and the customer. Yep.
Okay.
Two. Perfect. And then we're going to repeat that exercise and do the same thing for the store. The store geocode Latin long.
Store lat and store.
Perfect. And then next, just create another calculation. And we're going to calculate the distance. And so our starting is the customer and then the store. Or actually, it's going to be the store and then the
Right.
And then we can use unit miles in this case. I guess if you're in Canada, you'd want to use kilometers.
Let's do kilometers.
Oh, are you going to switch it up on me?
Sorry, say it again?
Let's use miles.
Okay.
ES. Perfect.
Okay, so that's going to be our distance, customer distance from store. Okay.
Yep. And now what we need to do is we're going to create a Boolean calculation, a true false, right? So go ahead and create a new calculated field. And what we're going to say, if my distance, you don't need to do the if statement. We're just going to do false. So
right.
Yep. Is less than or equal to, and I created a parameter down here, an integer parameter, distance from store.
Right.
And you can just say, I called this originally within distance of store or distance from store, whatever you want to call it. Awesome. Go back to sheet 4. Let's just go ahead and utilize sheet 4 again, since we already have our customer base here. Go ahead and drag within distance of store to filters. I'm sorry, to color.
And I think that we might.
There you go, perfect. And then we need to drag, so selected store. This is a step I skipped over. We created a parameter for our store ID that say, hey, because what was utilize parameter actions. And so if I say, hey, if I click on store 102, I want to use that as my, my store Latin long reference point. So go ahead and close this out and drag selected store to filters. It's going to be at the very top, D01 select store, selected store. And just set that to true.
So the way it works, I set up a distance from the store and it automatically adjusts on the map, right?
Perfect, yeah. And if you want to show that store ID parameter.
Right. And so the store ID parameter is just like essentially the stores that we listed here, right?
That's right.
Cool.
Yeah, and you can start switching in between stores, and you can start switching the distance, and what it'll do is it'll highlight the number of the customer within 4 miles of each store. Now what we want to do is add that boundary, right? So we want to add that buffer calculation. So let's create one more calculation, a boundary. Perfect. And then we want to use the store as our the store make point. And then utilize the distance parameter, so distance from store. And just miles again.
Cool.
And then we're going to have to do a dual access to utilize the buffer, right? So if you want to just do a dual access, and then on that second mark, if you want to just remove if you want to take off within distance of, yeah, perfect. You want to drag buffer. Oh yeah, sorry. So here's the key here. You need to switch that circle to a field map.
Mm.
So if you, yeah, perfect.
Cool.
And now you just added that boundary of the distance, that radius, right, from the center of the store.
Awesome. So, and once I switch between different stores and once I set up a distance from the store, it automatically gets reflected on the map.
Perfect. Yep. Yeah. Now, if you want to go back to our presentation. Yeah. So all we're doing here is now what I'm doing is, since I created that store parameter, I'm just saying when I click my store, I'm going to pass that parameter using the parameter action. And now when I click on store 100, it's going to highlight all the customers within 5 miles from that store. And then of course you have the store parameter at the bottom left that you can always go down there and change the distance from the store.
Right. So let's say, for example, within 3 kilometers.
Yep.
That works.
Yeah, and so, but we're not finished yet. What we want to do now is we want to identify, we still don't know which store has the best score, right? We want to do some sort of rating system to say, hey, if I'm looking at store 103 at customers within 3 miles, I want to look at the demographics and create some sort of rating system and say, okay, here's the potential store rating. So the next step, if you want to go to the next slide, is on the right here is we created some simple bar charts here, with some of the different features we set. Response, indirect or direct, yes versus no, customer channel, store, catalog, e-commerce. Customer income brackets, the attributes. We created a rating system for these attributes, and then what we're able to do is create some sort of store rating, right? Store score. So if you go ahead, let's practice here. If you go ahead and click store 106, and let's change our distance from store to, let's say, 5 miles. Now, what I know is I have 495 customers within 5 miles of store number 106. Based off of the score, the rating system that we created, based off the score, the rating system we created, based off the demographics or the attributes that we have in the data set, we said, hey, the score of this store is 61.8. Now, if I click on store 102, which is the bottom right, I can see I only have 103 customers. And then of course you can see the demographics for this customer base. Now, this exercise, we want customers, because it's wine and cheese, we want customers coming into the store because we want them to fall in love with the wine, fall in love with the cheese, because it's an experience, right? So some of these attributes over here are going to be weighted a little bit heavier. So 103 customers, a store rating of 15.49. Click on 103. 414 customers with a score of 52.85. So let's go ahead and do store 100.
Here we go.
There we go, 560 customers and a score of 72.03. So just with this basic analysis that we did in the matter of 10, 15 minutes, we could start to sort of say, hey, stores 100 and stores 106 are probably two locations that we want to really evaluate moving forward.
That's great. And also what I really like about this dashboard is that you can immediately see some attributes of your potential customers, right? So for example, customer channels, so they prefer to shop at a store, right? As opposed to, for example, somewhere like on the internet. And so their customer income, we can also understand that those who live within this circle, they have this average range of yearly income. And so customer household, so that is their description. And so it says that singles and starters and thriving boomers are represented most within this particular area. So yeah, it's really great that we can see also customer attributes.
Yeah, no, and you hovering over everything is sort of embarrassing because I forgot to, I'm notorious for not formatting my tooltips, so I need to go back and do that. And I guess it looks like fix some label coloring on the top three bar charts up there. But anyways, this was a fun exercise for me because it actually forced me to learn the different spatial calculations. Sorry, Serena, did you say something?
Oh, that's awesome. I was just, we had a couple of questions I wanted to call out here and make sure we had time for, because I know we are technically over our stop time, but we had some good questions come through, and this may be an opportunity for you guys to beef this up and come back and show us. But first question, actually, the first and the last question are around selecting multiple stores, maybe with the intention of comparing the two. And
yeah,
then,
so
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, there's different ways you could set this analysis up. That was one thing I was thinking about doing, was just, you know, comparing all 4 stores instead of, you know, you selecting each store separately. You can definitely do that. And I think that's probably iteration number 2 is to build that out too, as in like a second showcase.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is something you're building in your free time, right? So you got to draw the line somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And then Sam was wondering if, so, you know, this is great if you like, oh, I have whittled it down to these 5 potential locations for my store, and now I need to decide among those 5. Is there a way where you can sort of, he's saying, back into what the optimal places would be? So maybe you're just starting with customer data and you want to analyze that so the data can tell you where should those potential stores be.
Well, yeah, that's a great point. You'd have to have some sort of reference, right? Some sort of reference point to calculate against. But yeah,
did you reverse engineer your criteria? So like your scoring criteria, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like create some sort of a calculated field that would highlight what, you know, based on this, you know, I can't remember, you've got like a 5-mile radius or something like, well, where is the 5-mile radius that would give me the highest score, kind of thing?
That would be a great exercise. Yeah, I'll have to take a look at it. Maybe that's showcase number 3.
Yeah, or Sam, if you figure it out, you're welcome to come and show us too. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, guys, this is, you can find this workbook out there on Tableau Public. Just search Radical Shift, and this workbook's out there if you want to grab it and run with it. Feel free.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, thank you so much, you guys. That was really cool.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was a fun little project. Daria, if you can go back real quick and share your screen, I just wanted to thank you guys for giving us this opportunity, as well as make sure you follow a few things here, a few shameless plugs. Follow Daria, follow Tim Cady. Tim Cady works with Radical Shift. He consults with me at American Airlines. He's provides a lot of value on Twitter. Follow him, follow us. We have our own Twitter handle for our tug, North Texas Tug. Join our LinkedIn if you can. It's called The Real because an individual was sitting on the North Texas Tableau user group. It was a party of one. So we got really pretty passive aggressive and said The Real. And then the Visitor Studio is really cool. This is something that Tim and I were brainstorming for the last 6 months. Is a lot of great blogs out there, but what we want to do here is Daria's a part of it too, and so Stephen Shoemaker. What we want to do is go out there and find a visitor who has producing some really good material. Take one of their and sort of, what's your inspiration? Tell us about some of your techniques, and then we reverse engineer a couple of those techniques. And we've already had 2 episodes. I think the first one was Stephen Shoemaker. He provides a lot of good content out on Twitterverse, and then the second one Daria did with Tim, and I can never say Lindsay's last name. Daria.
Lindsay, that's a doll.
There you go. There you go. So yeah, definitely it's out on YouTube. So just go to YouTube and search the Visitor Studio, and I think the next episode we're actually talking to Eric Bolish.
Right.
Tomorrow. There you go. They're only 15-20 minutes. I promise you're quick.
Awesome. Joey, I welcome you to share those links out on our LinkedIn page. Awesome. Okay. Well, I think that about wraps it up, unless y'all really want to stay and hang out. I don't know about you guys. It's probably time to start figuring out what the hell I'm going to make for dinner.
I say tacos.
Tacos.
Everybody loves tacos.
I know.
Hey,
except for my 6-year-old.
If you guys are going to hang out give me 5 minutes, I want to share something. We didn't do a make line calculation as part of our demo, but I always like poking fun at the fact that Daria told me she was going to move 10 miles from the city center of Toronto, and she ended up moving to Vancouver in like the span of 3 weeks, which is pretty crazy. So I have a data set here. It's just for my make line example. I have the origin city, the origin latitude and longitude, the destination city, the destination latitude and longitude. So Toronto to Vancouver. So when we plot flight paths at American Airlines like 4 years ago, we had to jump through hoops. You had to structure your data the right way. You had to use line path, and it was pretty crazy. Tableau's done a great job in the last 3 years of making your life easier, especially plotting flight paths and curved flight paths. Like I said in the past, you had to do some crazy things. So now it's real easy. My data set, come here. Let's see, I think what I want to do is I made a couple of calculations, just like we did my origin make point using my Latin long, my destination make point using my Latin long. And then your make line calculations, real simple, utilizing those make points. Here's my origin, Toronto. Here's Vancouver, Latin long, make points. And then here's my make line. Let's just double click on it. And then what I want to do is just come up to map, go to layers. Actually, yep, streets, Toronto, Vancouver. I also then wanted to do the distance in miles, drag that to tooltip, and then distance in kilometers, since every time we have any discussion Daria and I have about metrics or temperature, it's always, okay, what is that in Celsius? What is that in Fahrenheit? What is that in miles? What is that in kilometers? So here's both of them. And then just like that, a couple of clicks, you can say, hey, she went 2,000, almost 2,100 miles versus 10. So it's that simple.
Daria doesn't, she goes big.
All right, thanks.
What an adventure.
It is really cool. Really
Passed right over in Minnesota, and you didn't even stop to say hi.
awesome.
And
We'll get you
Andrew
guys
says
back
he's
here
already
sometime.
started making tacos. That's hilarious. All right. Well, it looks like lots of people are jumping off. I'm gonna join the club as well. And since I'm the host, I think that might end it for everyone as well. What do you think? Sam says, what do you think I was eating during Brad's presentation? Everybody's just eating tacos during this tug. That's awesome.
Right?
Maybe we should call it Taco Tug.
Now there's an idea. I like it.
Maybe for when we can be back together in person, we'll just have a taco fest.
There's like 20 different taco ingredients. We could totally viz that sometime. Do it live during a tug.
Yep, I'm down.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well check out. I will send out a couple of things once they're ready. I'll send out the recording to today's session and the presentation, and it'll have links to the upcoming events that we shared. Joey's gonna share out some links on our LinkedIn page. I'll probably share a link to our community page as well, because there is some good stuff out there. Actually, Brad, I never found Luke's LOD presentation. I went out there and searched and I couldn't find it. So you should bug him, and if you send it to me, I'll include that too.
And if not, we can always make it a presentation for an upcoming tug.
Heck yeah. I mean, we have like such a common question. But people are like, whenever we talk about like, what are you struggling with? It's always like, LODs, I don't get it.
Totally.
So yeah.
It seems like almost a watermark for people to sort of psychologically move from beginner Tableau to more advanced Tableau.
Right.
Like that's the litmus test.
It's a benchmark for sure. For sure.
And they're not nearly as scary as people make them out to be.
They're not. They really are not. Yeah. So I think we had one person fill the open slot for our September tug. So we have a full agenda. But we still do have one spot for October. So, all right. Thank you all. I will virtually see you again soon.
Yep. Thanks, Serena.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks.